Okay, we're back. Once again, I am Tygon. I am here with Mysterious Man, and I'm also here with Mr. Shadow Man. Today we are gonna talk about the subject of certain men that use female antics or automated responses from females by masculine males. By unmasculine males, heterosexual males. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself or say what's up to everybody, guys.
What's up, everybody? Mystery Man here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Mr. Shadowman
Right.
here.
Oh, yes, you are here. So, all right. So, we will let Mr. Shadow Man go first and see what he has to say about this particular subject. Take it away, sir.
Okay, but one thing I noticed is emotional manipulation, where they will like if you do something to them, they're gonna talk to you in a certain way. They're gonna feel like they're gonna act all sad. They want you to notice that they're sad. Like basically attention seekers. Like they need like attention from other people or men specifically. They're just a vent.
Just a vent?
That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Basically what Mr. Mystery Man talked about earlier,
okay.
but that wasn't discussed on the podcast. But similar to what he said.
Okay. So do you have an instance or an example of a situation in which you've been in that type of situation?
Yeah. Basically in school, I was like making what was it? I'm trying to remember. It was a while ago. Me and my friend were talking about a certain topic, and he was like really like sensitive about it. I was like, no, but like, you know how men and men are. We talk about conversation like we disagree and agree and stuff. But he was like super like emotional about it, and he started getting angry. I'm like, dude, like you gotta calm down, you know, just like not that serious, you know. But like some people just like really like get super offensive, and they started like yelling out loud, basically acting like a acting feminine. But it just threw me off, you know, because it's not how a man should act.
Okay, and yeah, because we have emotional control. That's what we're supposed to have, emotional control. So now, just to ask about the guy, how far do you know the guy? Do you know if his parents were together, or what was the subject really about?
No, it was about the was it the war in the war going on in the Middle East, something.
Got you. Okay, so he was borrowing emotions practically.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like really touchy about that subject, you know.
If you don't mind my asking real quick, does this individual actually have any sort of link to that? You know, whether it be religious or ethnic, or is there no real connection?
No, it's just there's just stuff going on there that makes
That's
them
it, though.
emotional. Yeah,
There's no actual connection. Then no family members out there, nothing like that. Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Yep, I agree
I
with
seen it online. I seen it online too. I don't know if you guys seen, like, people are really touchy. A lot of like it's controversial,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess.
Well, I mean, from my point of view, I could be completely wrong, but from what I've seen is people like to borrow
They do.
other people's emotions. Like, you know,
Yeah, it's true.
I've seen some stuff, you know, and unfortunately, humans could do atrocious things, especially in war. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, when you see that, and you've actually, you know, I only experienced a very small amount compared to most people, but the fact that I experienced it at all, it gives me a little bit of advantage of trying to understand the situation a little bit more.
Yes.
And since I also had family involved, then it practically ties me in. Now again, I didn't experience as much as my family did, but I thank God I had the privilege to be here after everything else happened. So there's a part of them that they kind of, how should I say, it's kind of like anger. Anger is an emotion, it's a feeling. So since you have that feeling, something is triggering it, right? So anger usually is a cover-up type of emotion, right? Because you have different levels of it. So anger is kind of an umbrella for sadness, for feeling alone, for whatever other weird thing you may be feeling. But anger seems to be the one that comes out because it protects the rest of them, the vulnerability, right? So then these people may be going through something at home. They might be going through something as they grew up. They might have a trauma. And then when they see the injustice of, a war, then they decide to take a side, even though they have no skin in that game. They have absolutely nothing to do with it. But they want to involve themselves with usually either the underdog or the person that's being invaded, or the person that's being is probably losing most likely, right? So they want to involve themselves with that particular side of it, because then they feel as though they have empathy, and they feel as though they can I don't know, they borrow their feelings. They want to fight for a cause, but they want to be in a westernized world in order to fight for that, which makes absolutely
Exactly what I was going to say. All these people that are sorry to cut you off, just real quick. All these people virtue signaling all this crap. I guarantee you, 85 to 90% of them would not be down to go to whatever country it is that they're speaking about to go lend military aid. I'm talking joining infantry, picking up a rifle. They would not be down to do that. They just want to talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then they just kind of borrow other people's feelings. So then it's actually, how shall I say, a way to deal with their own emotions, or it could be their emptiness that they feel. It could be, like I said, some type of depression, their sadness, their, they're practically crying for something else, but they're using this particular subject to feel a certain way. You know what I mean? So they can take out their whatever they feel, their whatever emotion they have inside. And it goes back to the same thing that I always tell every single guy is you have to learn to control your emotions. Because again, you're borrowing an emotion. You're not going through that. You're not living through that. You have no idea what that's like. And like you just said, Mysterious Man, is if you're really that, moved by what's going on, then you really want to do something, hop on a plane. They're more than happy to have another fighter on their team in the front line. They are not going to say no to you. They will be more than happy to give you a rifle or an AK, whatever you need, and get you out in that front line. But
once again, though, not to get too off the topic, a lot of these same guys are so blindly and ignorantly anti-gun. They don't. You know what I mean. Oh, yeah. It's just such a big contradiction. You know what I'm talking about. But please continue. Sorry about that, Dagon.
So, that's actually very important because, actually, what you just brought up, right, which is the right to bear arms, right? Now, we're not political here, but what I'm trying to say is that ties down to masculinity. The reason why is because the masculine man is more than happy to sacrifice his self for the righteousness of others, for the freedom of others. That's what a real man is capable of. That's what masculinity is all about, is protecting those that can't protect themselves. You see? So when you look at that aspect, you're like, wait, this guy is crying like a woman. They're not saying that women are bad either. Women are wonderful. But as being feminine as a heterosexual man is a terrible thing. So,
Yes.
because all that does is destroy society even more, and it's
Mhm.
internalized and then outward, because
Yes.
women they say they want, because you have to understand, women say one thing but they actually want another. It's very contradictory.
Mhm.
It's something, it can
Mhm.
be confusing to certain men. So then they have
Oh yeah.
all these guys that would be like, oh well, I want to get close to a girl, I want to see what I can do, maybe I can have more in common with her. So then they start listening to music that women listen to, so they can relate to women. They'll start
Mhm.
watching shows that are feminine, are meant for a female or feminine audience,
Mhm.
and they'll try to get
Mhm.
into those so they can have something in common with this girl. They'll start learning the same speech as them, they'll start learning the same style as them, and next thing you know, you have a very feminine heterosexual man that all he really wants to
Mhm.
do is try to get with women. Unfortunately, he wants validation from that, and that's not coming. That's just,
Mhm.
women do not want that. That's what they don't want. They want a masculine
Mhm.
man who can control his emotions, who's not gonna try to bend forward, backward, whatever, upside down for them. They want a man that's going
Yeah.
to lead, it's going to go forward. Again, a man that will sacrifice himself for the better of everybody else. That's pretty amazing. That's why I always thank all the military that's out there, no matter what branch it is. And whatever you do, even if you're a mechanic, you're still helping out. Whether you're doing just data entry for the military, you're doing your part, which is pretty amazing to me. So in that
Mhm.
aspect, I respect those type of men because they can go out there and do it like that.
Yeah.
So and again, not to go too much off of that topic, and get into the political part of it. I want to bring it back. So these feminine antics that these guys use, where they try to be as feminine as possible just to get a pat on the head like a dog from any female, is insane to me. You know,
Yeah.
because that's how society gets destroyed, and no woman wants to have a child, unless they're actually what they call it, lesbian. They
Mhm.
do not want to grow up with two mothers in the home. you know Somebody has to be masculine. Even in the lesbian relationships, one of them has to be more
Mhm.
masculine. you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't have two lipstick girls. That's one. It's practically two females.
Mhm.
Even in their relationship,
Mhm.
you have to have some form of masculinity, and
Yeah. Exactly.
that's what a lot of these guys don't understand. They get thrown off by, supposedly
Mhm.
the goal is to be with these women, and then they end up becoming these women, which is very scary.
Yeah.
you know uh,
Yeah.
and to bring it all back, this guy that Mr. Shadowman was talking about, he's extremely emotional about a subject that has nothing to do with him, but he wants to grab onto it because whatever trauma
Mhm.
he's gone through, or he feels, or depression, whatever it is, he's trying to outlet it through that. He's trying to funnel it
Yeah.
to another subject which everybody else can agree with. Do you see what I'm saying? And he's trying to fight for the little guy, and trying to stand up for those that are
Mhm.
suffering, which is great. We all want to stand up for somebody that's suffering, but we don't want
Yeah.
to borrow somebody else's emotions, because that's
Yeah. Of
also
course.
disingenuous.
Yes.
You
Of
know.
course.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Shadowman. You can go ahead and finish that one. So then that way we can have Mr. Mystery Man go ahead and follow up with his example.
No, I think that was all covered. That's all I had to say.
Cool. All right. So, Mr. Mystery Man, go ahead and let us know.
Alrighty then. So the topic I thought of to bring up today was just to, I guess, simplify it in words a little bit more. It's I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this. We've all got, we've all had friends in the past, friends currently, whatever. And there's always the different personalities. Everybody's got their own struggles, but the one I'm addressing today is the friend that has many problems, And so naturally, being his friend, you want to give him advice. You want to help him. And he comes to you. And you advise him on exactly what to do because he's asking you because he sees that you've done exactly what it is that he wants to do. So you give him the advice, and he just gives you every excuse in the book. He just wants to rant about his problem over and over again. He just wants to play the victim card. He just wants to submit to it. You know, for example, this person that I'm speaking of, he is unfortunately that guy playing the victim card, and it's such a shame because the characteristics this guy possesses, if he just had some confidence, he would have the world by the cojones, man. He's tall, you know, he's very handsome guy, you know what I mean? Very, very physically strong as well. He looks like one of those warrior men that you would see in those old movies about knights and medieval warriors and whatnot, you know what I mean? And I tell him that. I tell him, dude, you know, no offense, bro. If you were to just quit your bitching, get over your problems, and just go out there and just try what you want to do, you'd accomplish a lot of it. You know, well, a lot of it was simply your physical characteristics alone. You know what I mean? Not all of us are genetically blessed like that to be looking like you are, man. You look like King Arthur or something, but you're too introverted to go talk to women. You know, you're too scared to go out there and put in some personal initiative to find a better job. You're too scared of your own thoughts to stop being constantly high on uh, pot and stop drinking. You're just too afraid. So your solution is you just would rather wallow in your misery. And after a few years of that, me trying to give this person advice on what to do, even though he was asking me for it, I just finally told him one night, you know what, man, I've told you everything I could possibly tell you. Nobody wants to feel like they're talking to a wall or just wasting their breath. So I've told you everything I could tell you, man. Sorry, but you know, that's about it. So if you don't mind, if we could talk about something else better than this, then I guess this is where our interaction is over with. And unofficially, I think that's exactly what happened because I, really don't talk to this guy very much anymore, especially since I've gotten sober. Haven't touched alcohol in a couple months now, and I'm just not into that scene anymore, so there's not really anything to interact with this guy with. So, yeah, that's about the end of that example. If you guys would like to add to it. Questions?
Okay. Well, there's a lot in that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the
Yeah.
fact that he's somewhat timid of the world, that he's
Mhm.
in his fears,
Mhm.
the fact that his response is to be a victim. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot in there, to be honest with you, and a lot of work that this person has to do
Mhm.
to get to where he needs to. And like you said,
Mhm.
you can see he's not being the man he should be. And that in itself is, as a man, when you see that potential, it kind of just discourages
Mhm.
you to just engage with that person. Because
Yeah,
it feels like you outgrew the person, to be honest with you.
that's exactly how
And
it felt.
right, and it's kind of rude in a way, but as men, we can't have people dragging us down. We just, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah, that's
unfortunate.
just a matter of fact right there.
So I'm sure Mr. Shadowman doesn't want anybody bringing him down, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Who does?
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the first part of, I guess, the biggest part of what I saw in that, what everything you described. There's actually a lot more, but the biggest part that I saw is you practically understanding that your brain has developed, since you don't have so much crap in it, stunting its
Mhm.
growth. Now that your brain is developing, you're actually being able to recognize certain situations which
Yeah.
you've never been able to recognize before. because you're blind. You're blind when you're blind. You know what I mean? You can't see it.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and it's not to say that maybe if somebody came and told you, you would have taken the advice. It was more along the lines of you
Mhm.
yourself had to go and recover it. You had to go and
Mhm.
finalize and realize, hey, this is the finalization of me being taken over by a substance of some sort. So
Yes.
now I must. This is the initiation of my new life, right? So
Mhm.
when you look at it that way, unfortunately for this guy that you're speaking of, he may have to go through
Yeah.
that. He may have to. You may have
Yeah.
to wait till he hits rock bottom, or what
Well,
consider rock bottom.
well, heck, man. I mean, uh, this is probably. I mean, I don't mean for this, to sound cold in any sort of way, because yeah, I know us men don't really say this very often, but you know what? I spent a lot of years with this guy. I love the guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good friend of mine, but I hope that that happens soon because he's a few years older than I am. He's going to be 30 in a few months, I think, and there's just so much he hasn't experienced. So, I guess what I'm saying is I really hope that that happens soon. I hope he hits his rock bottom before he's 30 this way. So, before that happens, he could wake the hell up and say, all right, you know what? I've been living this way for this amount of time. I'm tired of it. So, you know what? No more alcohol, no more of this, no more of that. I think I'm going to go take initiative for my life. Go find that woman I want, go find that job I want. That's what I'm hoping for him.
It's
Okay.
the only way people can change.
Yeah.
Or some people, I mean, not everyone, but they have to be at
Yeah.
their lowest point of their life so they can realize that
Absolutely.
they need to change.
But it all comes down to personal initiative, though. I mean, some people, they reach that rock bottom 40, 50 years ago, but they just never cared. They never had the
Yeah,
initiative to change. And that's really sad.
yeah,
And ironically, uh, just to add real quick, because this is a pretty interesting story, even if I didn't know the guy. Now, ironically, there was another individual in this group of friends that I was with, and this other individual that was a mutual friend of this fella's and I's, ironically, he and I would talk about that other guy's problems as well because he was doing the exact same thing. Now, this other guy, let's call him, fake names for the sake of respecting privacy. Let's call him Lee.
Okay.
This fellow Lee, he once told me, you know, I really wish I was you right now. And I told him, Lee, why on earth would you wish that you were me? Why would you want to be me? You're you. I'm me.
yeah,
And he said, well, because you're dating a girl right now. Because I was telling him, and at the time I was dating different girls pretty often because not that I was deliberately trying to be promiscuous or anything, but, because I wanted to find the one, right? So that's what you do when you're looking for the one. You start looking for women, you see which one is the one. So, but long story short, she wasn't it. This was a few years ago, but he told me that he wished he was me. And I just thought that that was just so, I don't even know how to describe it. I can't, like, amazed at how, trying not to sound like a total jerk here, but I was just amazed at how pathetic that was. I told him, Lee, you could do this stuff too. It's just there's some certain things that you really got to work on, man. And he asked my advice, and I gave him the advice, the cold hard advice, and he just got totally mad at it. And I'm not saying that this particular thing defines who you are, gives you any value, but we're talking about guys that are in their late 20s, almost their early 30s, and they're celibate, involuntary, involuntarily celibate. And
yeah,
so we all know the problems that come with that stuff, the envy, the jealousy, the other problems, the bitterness towards women, even though it's not women's fault, stuff like that. But yeah,
yeah.
and ironically, the main guy in this story, he noticed all that in the other guy, but he doesn't notice it in himself. So that's the main point. if you guys would like to add to that, questions or comments.
Um, yeah, I mean, I can. One main thing that sticks out to me is the fact that you describe these guys as what I guess on the internet or social media is considered a top man, or a man that physically or has physical attributes that women are looking for, supposedly, right? But that goes to show you that all that is not true. Social media
Yeah.
is a made up world, because you
Mhm.
have two men that could literally probably, if they had the right mentality, succeed in life. I'm talking living the dream.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, they're not man enough to actually succeed, because they are so caught up in all their insecurities, their trauma, their sadness, their depression, whatever. They have created this world of negativity all around them
Yeah.
that keeps them there. And you give them a solution, they don't want to, like a woman. They don't want to hear the solution. They just want you to. They just want to vent. I just want to vent. I want to tell you my problem. And us as men, since we're problem solvers and we see an issue, we want to give the solution. And then we go back to, I think we talk about this almost like in every single episode, where I want to give my solution. I just want you to hear me vent. I want you to hear me, but I don't want a solution. And then, well, no, you should take my solution. Well, no, I just wanted you to hear me. Oh, forget about it. No, you should really take the solution. It'll probably solve your problem. So that's a man and a woman going back and forth all day. Right? That's everybody can relate to that one. And the reason being is because again, I don't know these guys' lives. I have no idea who they are. I'm not judging them either. They're just examples. I'm not gonna, how shall I say, put more negativity on top of them. But we are gonna take an example of them and say, well, this is what you should not be doing. So, I mean, they're at a pretty good age where they should understand already that they need to take care of their bodies. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, they need to understand that they're getting older, and as you get older as a man, age starts to make you think of that future and how you're gonna end up. And when you get to that particular state, then how much time do I have? How hard do I have to work? Then you start thinking of the plan, and if you're like 40, 45 years in, you practically got like 15 years left, I guess. You turn 60, and then it's like it's practically over.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not that far away, so that's another part of that. And then the part that we should be practically emphasizing on ourselves is being masculine and being a man has nothing to do with what you look like, your height, your weight, how much you work out. It really has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines of a lifestyle and a mentality. It has to do with bettering yourself. You have a guy not loving himself enough. This is pretty crazy to me. You have a guy not loving himself enough that he wishes he was somebody else.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That's like practically being trapped in a body that you don't want, or in a situation you don't want.
That's exactly what it is.
You don't want. That is a really, really sad state to be in, where you want somebody else. That's how much you detest yourself. That's so bad. And then on top of detesting yourself and you want to be somebody else, you keep feeding yourself that poison.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand wanting to be like another man, but to actually want to be that other man, that's just baffling for me.
I feel like social media made it that way nowadays. A lot of people try to compare to others, even though social media is all fake. Like you think, like you don't see the hard stuff.
Yeah, and the weird part about it is this other guy that I told you guys about, the one that said he wished he was me. He has a master's in psychology, and he wants to be a therapist and all that. So can you guys imagine how I felt when he, of all people, told me that? I was like, dude, like, aren't you studying all this stuff? Don't you realize how detrimental what you're telling me is? Like, dude,
Yeah.
like, my God.
Tell that guy not to be a therapist, please.
No kidding, man. That's like a pacifist trying to be a Marine.
Yeah, 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 that's not, or a person that's, I want no guns, but I want to join the military.
Yeah,
It sounds crazy.
yeah, I want no guns, but I want to go fight for a cause that's literally not mine. Makes sense, bud.
Yeah. So,
What are you gonna do? Gum the enemy to death?
it's it's very contradictory, and
Yeah.
it's a very sad state to be in, at least from our point of view, especially because we're here, doing everything possible to better ourselves. We're loving ourselves more every single day. We're learning how to self-help, I guess we'll call it. Yeah, helping ourselves and being able to help each other, in the little group we have, and we are doing everything possible to better our lives and to give each other the best advice possible. Unfortunately, there's some people you can give advice to, but it only falls on deaf ears because they are so stuck in their trauma and their victimhood, they can't get out of there. And it's not to put them down, but it's also, to what extent do we say, do we lead that horse and we say, okay, you don't want to drink, I don't know what to tell you, bro, I'm gonna leave you here. I show you how to get to the water, I can't make you drink, bro. So how far do we go on that? And how far, we're not professionals, so we can't tell how far along they are, or we have no way of measuring how we can get them to a certain mental state where they start recognizing what's good for them. So it's really sad. It really is, because they're of age and what they consider out there grown ass men. So I don't know, that's how they put it. So for people to not be able to recognize at the state that you are mentally, to me is so disappointing.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, literally, because you have so much potential. These people live here, right? In California.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so they live where everybody wants to be at. They're practically, this is the land of opportunity. You can get anything you want at any time, but it's really up to you. And they have all these options, but they have decided to poison themselves. It's insane. They live in paradise where they have endless opportunities, and instead of taking any one of those opportunities, they decide, I will poison myself and keep me exactly where I'm at. That is insane to me, because that shows the level of love that they have for themselves, how much they think of themselves. But I do have some questions for you, Mr. Mystery Man. One is, do both of these guys have their parents in their lives?
One guy, the main man of this situation, for the most part, he and his brother have only been raised by their mom, because their father, unfortunately, the guy was hooked on the glass since the 80s, so he's never really been much of a father at all. And so not really, no. And the other guy, I'm really not too sure, to be quite honest with you. I can't say for sure that I know. Yeah, Lee, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, from what we gather right here, you can see how a father, from both of them, whether it's a weak father or a non-existent father, it's extremely necessary to have a masculine father in the home.
Mm-hmm.
because they actually are missing what we have. Thank God. Thank you.
Yeah.
That we have structure. We have that mentality of, okay, we're going to progress. So we're gonna progress, and we're gonna do everything possible for our future. You know, that's how we.
Mm-hmm.
That's the structure that's needed in a man. When you're missing that structure, again, we go back to the same thing. Doesn't matter what you look like, how big and tall you are, and how buff you are, strong. That's irrelevant. That becomes irrelevant because you're not a man mentally.
Yeah.
And that is extremely important for you to show that you're a man and act like a man and be a man, so then that way women will be attracted to you no matter what. And it's not because, again, you're this great big buff guy. No, it has to do more with your state of mind, and that's what women look at. They want to see that stability. They want to see that structure. They want to see how you pay attention to them, how you protect them, the security, the physical security. On top of that, all that is extremely important. And then a man poisoning himself is not going to make as much money as a man who is purely being himself and going out there and attacking the world and trying to get that bag. So when you look at it that way, you see how their antics kind of just keep destroying. It's like self-destruction, and unfortunately, you can't just go around insulting the guy, because that's not going to help him either.
Yeah, of course.
It's a whole, they need a person. They need to surround themselves with people. They need to see that now, okay, this particular friend is bringing me this. That's probably not good for me. This particular friend is bringing me this. So surrounding yourself with people who are honest. When I say honest, I don't mean tell you the truth or tell the truth. It's more along the lines of the person is honest with himself. He's not trying to be fake. He's not trying to be somebody he's not. He's just being himself. And usually that's the person that has a good heart. And believe me, I'll take a good heart over an intelligent mind all day.
Yeah.
I do not want an intelligent feminine guy, because all that's going to do is bring more problems to the situation. Because again, feminine men, they like drama. They, just like a woman, they like drama. They like to, what they call it, unstabilized situations, so they could get a little bit of a rush, because that's the feeling they want to have. Kind of like in a way, a psychopath, in a way.
But that kind of begs the question, though. If a man's really that intelligent, then wouldn't he be intelligent enough to know that that's just a bunch of bad news, all that feminine attitude and all that?
All right, I'm about to spit them bars. I'm kidding. No, but here we go. This is a saying that I don't know if I came up with it. I'm not quite sure. I think I did, but I could be wrong. Somebody could find it in the book somewhere. I'm not sure. But I do research a lot, so this is the one thing that stuck with me is being wise. The knowledge that you have does not make you wise. The use of your knowledge is what brings wisdom. So you can be an intellectual, right? You can be.
Yeah.
And that's a bar. Write that down, please. But it's already recorded. It's patented. You can't steal it from me. So, anyways, no, I don't care. Please pass it on. So the whole thing is understanding that you can be an intellectual and still not be wise.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Wisdom is what makes you the man that you are. The knowledge does not. Because if that's like saying I have a tool, but I need a screwdriver and I'm trying to use a wrench for some reason to pull out a screw. That makes absolutely no sense. Right? But you have the intellect to understand that what all these tools are supposed to do, unfortunately, if I don't use them correctly, then I'm not going to be able to get the job done because I have no knowledge. I don't know how to use that knowledge correctly. Do you see what I'm saying? So now wisdom comes, it's about being smarter, not working harder. So you start to understand that other people's mistakes you can learn from. This is why we're doing what we're doing right now, is so that somebody else can listen to this and learn from that mistake. You know?
Yes.
Not sit here and talk crap on people. That's not what we're here for. We're here to build people up. You know?
Yes.
And even women, we build them up because there's some women out there
Yes, of course.
that are amazing. So I'm not saying
of course.
it's only a man thing. No. We are here.
Yes.
And we don't hate women at all. No.
Well, of course not.
What we don't like is the whole feminist thing. That's a whole different thing.
Yes.
That now that's our distinction. Our distinction is no.
Yes.
You keep that back there. We'll keep ours over here. So let's just leave each other alone in that aspect. So, but
one thing I'd like to address real quick, for those of you that may not quite understand this yet, I think I could speak on our behalf with this one because this is the understanding. Femininity in of itself is not a bad thing. That's not what we're all about here on this channel. See, it's the idea that women are supposed to be the feminine ones, not men. That's all. Women are supposed to be feminine. But our thing is that men are supposed to be masculine. It's supposed to be how it's supposed to be. It's natural. That's all. We love women here. That's one of the main reasons why we're doing what we're doing. So, yeah. Right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, you're very right on that.
do you have anything to add on that, Mr. Shadowman?
I'll say that things that nowadays people have changed, and that's not like all that anymore, 100%. But what we can do is just teach people the traditional way. Because I know most men are acting feminine nowadays, and that's just not right. It's like not natural.
Mhm.
So that's why we do these kind of things, so people learn.
Yeah. So now with all that said, is understanding that our biology, you guys covered the mental part of it. I'm going to cover the actual biology of it, which is there's certain things that women are attracted to. And that's a man who can provide, a man who can protect, a man who can give that security, a man who can lead, a man who can give that wonderful attention, right? That a woman really needs. So those are things that we should literally live by, to be all those things. Not only to attract women, but also to be a good parent. Because you have to give the exact same thing to your kids. You have to understand that if you have a daughter, you have to know how to act like a good man. Why? Because then when she grows up, she's going to go out looking for a man. She's not going to want some feminine man who she can't respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So that's another part of it. And then the biology always kicks in. These women say they want one thing, right? But then the biology kicks in. So then they're like, oh, I want a really nice guy who's, going to be able to listen to music with me and listen to me and talk to me all night. But then this guy comes out. He's extremely masculine. And he just takes the room over, walks over everybody. And now next thing you know, everything she just said just went out the window. And the guy she was talking to, she dropped him like a fly. You know what I mean? And now she's running after that guy. So, that's the biology part of it. It's just, that's already embedded in our DNA. There's nothing we could do about that. There's literally nothing you could do about that. The only thing you could do is enhance it and follow your biology. So, in my view, again, it could be completely wrong, and I'm not a doctor in any way. That's how we should be. Like you said, it's natural. That's what we naturally are supposed to be. I'm sure there is a very small amount of people, that probably think a little differently than their biology, or they grow up with, maybe a different style of mentality, right? But those people,
Yes.
that's not what this is for. This is not for those people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not excluding them. We're just letting them know this is not for you. If that's what you're going through, you may want to seek help or maybe find a support group for that. But as a man, trying, being more masculine, again, has nothing to do with your looks, has nothing to do with your physical. It's your biology to be more masculine. And
Yes.
unfortunately for women, as much as the feminists would like you think that, they want a soft, I don't know, soft, colorful guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's say that's what they want. I don't. Again, I don't want to get involved in that. But if they say that's what they want, but then when the real man passes by and they see they can feel that masculinity around them, or they can see it, without having to open their eyes, they can actually see it. It's objectively a fact, and they, for some reason, are aroused. They're excited. They want to be around this guy. So the whole thing that they're saying makes absolutely no sense. So that's the reason why we say feminized men are not what society needs, because we're not going to reproduce with feminine men. It's just not. Women don't want that, and those feminine guys don't know how to be masculine, so they're not going to attract the women. And it's just going to be a big giant circle of nobody wants to touch each other, nobody wants to see each other, and then you have the other side where the women say, oh, you know what, I don't want men to look at me, all of them are rapists. Okay, we're not all rapists. If we know how to control our emotions, then you have nothing to worry about us. So this is actually good. This is actually good. We are being what feminists want to be. Want us to be, or what they describe, which is a man that's going to be able to control his emotions, that's not going to have to flinch when it comes down to anything she does, where when she tests us, we're not playing those games. That's what they wanted, or at least that's what they describe that they want, and that's who we are naturally anyways. So why not just, embrace that masculinity? That's my question. It's like these other guys that we just talked about, they can't embrace being a man. They cannot. Responsibility, the priorities, it's a lot. And then us as men, a lot of the times we get treated bad. So just naturally get treated less for some weird reason. So as we build that as armor. Those guys that we're talking about, unfortunately, instead of building their armor, what they're doing is they're just building more mushy stuff. You know what I mean? They're sinking into it instead of building armor. Every time somebody has said something bad about me, they told me they don't believe in me, they tell me that I'm not good enough, that they tell me, man, all of that has helped. That's my inspiration to be where I'm at the moment. And I'm extremely proud that I was able to overcome them. And I outgrew their insults. And now their insults are void because now they see who I am. And they can't bring me down. There's no way. My structure, my foundation is way too strong for any of those little peepsqueaks to come over here and try to break me down. It's just not gonna happen. Do you see what I'm saying? So then society wants us to be those two guys that we're talking about. Society wants, because they can control those guys. They don't want guys like us, because then how are they gonna control us? How does a woman, right? Because a woman controls us by their physical, right? They say, okay, well, you're not getting none tonight. And if you say, okay, don't care, bye, what are they going to do? What control do they have over you?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing. If you
nothing,
then you do nothing. Oh, well, I'm not going to give you the attention. Bye. Like, let me just block you. You know what I mean? To make sure that what you say is real, I'm going to block you. So now there is no discussion about it. Because a real man, that's what he does. Is when we're not going to enable bad behavior. Okay, that just doesn't happen here. Okay, I say this to
Mhm.
everybody I know. I do not enable bad behavior. I don't care if it's a man or a woman, child. I don't do it.
Mhm.
Okay? That's not gonna happen.
Yes.
You're gonna respect me, or you're gonna go away. It's that simple,
Hmm.
right? I'm
Hmm.
just gonna disappear on you, because
Yeah.
you have to act accordingly. You have to have
Absolutely.
standards. You have to learn that
Mhm.
respect is very important. If a woman does not respect a man, then the marriage is going to be a very bumpy ride for the man,
Yes.
because now she has the power, and once the power,
And same vice versa as well, right?
yeah. Well, no, I mean you can still, as a man, you're supposed to leave, so you're supposed to have the power
Yes.
per se. You know what I mean? We're not.
Well, I'm talking about the respect of it,
Oh,
not
yeah, of
the
course.
power.
No,
Yeah.
we need to respect women. That's not.
Of course.
If you don't
Well, of course.
understand that, and you took from what I just said, you took, oh, well, that means you don't respect. No, now you're an idiot.
Yes. Yes.
There's nowhere
Absolutely.
that it says, oh, you should treat women bad. That's not what we're here
Of
for.
course.
We're here to
Of course.
protect women. We're here to guide
Mhm.
women. Okay, but we're
Mhm.
That's what we're meant to do.
exactly. But we're
That's
Absolutely.
what men are supposed to do.
exactly.
It's in our DNA
There you
to
go.
always
Mhm.
protect and cherish women.
There. Okay. So since we're all in agreement to that, we can also say
Mhm.
we're also here to guide women, and sometimes we got to save women from themselves. And if we
Mhm.
don't want that help, then guess what? We don't have to help. We can just walk away. It's that simple.
Exactly.
You know, nobody said harm women. That's crazy. No.
Yeah.
I
Of course.
I'm not into that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about understanding where you should stand as a man, not what you should be
Yeah.
doing towards, hurting a woman. That's
Mhm.
crazy. No, don't do that. That, and if anybody
Absolutely.
takes that from what we're doing, then apparently they're being feminine themselves, because then they're saying,
Mhm.
oh no, I got to get to the extreme to show how bad this guy is. That sounds
Mhm.
that sounds crazy, because I would never say that. I would never want anybody
Yeah.
to hurt a woman. That's just crazy. We shouldn't, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there has been instances, because they decided to do the whole equality thing, where guys were like, well, let me show you we're equal, you know. But
Yeah, there's
Oh
some
my
guys that don't care
Yeah.
that they will actually fight a woman if they hit them.
exactly, do you see what I'm saying? So when you look at that part,
It's insanity.
yeah. So when you look at that, that's not what we're talking about, because a man has complete control of his emotions. Okay, that doesn't mean you're suppressing your emotions and everything you have, you bottle it up. That has no. That's not what we're talking about. So suppressing your emotions is not the same as controlling your emotions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And dealing with them in a healthy way.
There you go. And understanding when it's okay to express yourself about a certain subject, or to be
Yeah.
able to express yourself about an issue that you have. Now,
Yes.
normally me myself, I always, give the advice to guys: don't run to a woman and cry on her shoulder, because you just destroyed yourself. To me, usually it's better if you go to men, and if you cry in front of the man, whatever, we'll make fun of you for like maybe 5 minutes, and then we're over it too, because we don't really.
Yeah.
We're not gonna hold that against your life, dude. We don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it don't
I mean, shit. If you tell me your father just died, I'm not gonna not expect you to not be broken for a bit, man. Right?
Yeah.
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 Every man understands.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Every man, since we usually have more control of our emotions, we understand. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's why you want to go to a man and have those discussions. Because if you go to a girl and you cry in front of her, then she's gonna think to herself, "Oh wow, I have another woman on my shoulder right now."
Yeah.
Who's being emotional. So that's what you don't want to do, is because that's gonna destroy. That's being feminized. You know what I mean? As a man, you're being feminized, and you just did a feminine, way of being. So when you look at it all that and you put it all together, you realize that masculinity is extremely important, and we keep on harping that on you. We're gonna keep on pushing that, because masculinity is extremely important in society, regardless of what anybody says. We need it. Like a lot of those crimes that are happening, a lot of the crimes happen because these guys don't have fathers in their lives.
Yeah.
And usually these are men who can't control themselves enough to not have to steal. They want that. They have that envy. They have that desire to have. So since they can't control that emotion, they go ahead and break stuff. They go ahead and do more bad things in order to get what they want, because they can't. They don't have that patience. They don't have that control. That's where all that comes from. You know, so masculinity is extremely important. If they were shown how to be real men, right men, then guess what? That wouldn't happen. We'd prevent so many problems in society. But that's what we're all here for. This is what's getting us, how shall I say, through all of it all. Is that we are able to advise other men on how to get into their masculinity path. So then that way they could also be in the same mental state that we are in. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a true man and I'm this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not above anybody. I'm humbled enough to understand that I'm just a simple man. That's
I'm
it.
just me.
You know what I mean? That's it. I'm just a simple man. I just want to live my life. I want to be at peace. So I'm not claiming to be, you know, this great fighter or this great lifter or none of that. You know, I'm not claiming to have all that. That's not part of my persona, anyways. My actual persona or of who I am. There's not even, you know, it doesn't even come up, I guess, in my brain. It doesn't, you know. So that's not also another thing that, you know, when people take things to the extreme, that's usually what women do. They to protect themselves. You say, hey, you know what? I'm saying, you know, maybe we should do this. Oh, so you're saying, and then they take it to the extreme. And then when they take it to the extreme, they're doing that to want to win the argument.
Yeah.
You see? So usually when a guy starts doing that, that's when you just look at him, you tell him, okay, bro, thanks for the conversation. I'll see you later. And that's it. That's probably the last conversation you'll have with the person, because you see where their mental state is. And, you know, anybody wants to play those stupid games, then they're definitely not in the right mental state to have a conversation with you. Because like we said, right, the use of your knowledge is what makes you wise. Just because you have knowledge doesn't mean you're wise. Because if you don't know how to use it, then what are you doing, bro? You did nothing. All that studying, all that knowledge for no reason. Like you said, that guy,
Like a college graduate that just went to go work at the supermarket, right?
it doesn't make any sense. You just wasted years of your life for nothing. You know, I mean, unless you could talk to the bags and teach the bags about you know, whatever you learned, whatever knowledge you have. So with that, all that said, I think we covered a lot. We'll come back and cover some more, of course, next time. We have gone over our time again, but it's good because then we have a lot to talk about, and we cover a lot of things that maybe, you know, maybe one or two of the things we suggest could actually help somebody out there and maybe guide them to the right path. So with that, I'm going to say, Mr. Shadow Man, let's say our goodbyes.
All right. Thanks for listening to us. See you next time.
Okay. Mr. Mystery Man.
Brandon, thanks again for listening, whomever may be listening, and I hope that the discussion my friends in here and I had was helpful, and we wish nothing but the best for everybody, especially those people that we discussed.
All right. So until next time, next episode, of course, you know, we'll bring something new. We usually do have really good subjects to talk about, so stay tuned with it. Again, self-love, love yourself. That's very important. Help yourself by loving yourself. That's one of the keys on being a better person. And with that said, we all say goodbye. Peace.